Join us as we explore 10 drive-in restaurants from the 1970s that we all loved. Ready? In 1923, on the roads of California, A&W was born, bringing what many would call the best root beer ever. And if you disagree, well, feel free to leave this video. Just kidding. By the 1970s, the brand had become a huge part of drive-in culture. Those were the good old days. Imagine this, a big frosty mug of root beer on a summer night with a hot dog or cheeseburger delivered right to your car window. Sounds perfect, right? That was the magic of A&W drive-ins. That ice-cold root beer was the best, especially in those frosty mugs. For those looking for a bit more comfort, many locations also had indoor seating. But the drive-in experience was something special. You could check out each other's cars, listen to music on the radio, catch up on the latest gossip, and maybe even go on a date. Nothing was cooler than that. At the heart of this unforgettable experience were two favorites. First, the famous ice-cold root beer. And for an extra treat, there was the root beer float, a perfect mix of cold root beer and creamy vanilla ice cream. Let me tell you, it was such a fun and exciting place to go when we were kids. Along with the famous drinks, they also served the iconic Papa Burger. It was a family favorite, bringing excitement to such a simple outing. Today, A&W still exists in some places across the United States, but the classic drive-in experience, as it used to be, is much rarer. Times change, but the memories last. So, do you remember stopping by? Imagine this. It's a Friday night in the 1970s. The streets are buzzing with cars and there's excitement in the air. You're heading to Sonic Drive-In, the place where everyone goes to hang out. This place wasn't like other restaurants. Here you could order from your car using a speaker, and a carhop, often on roller skates, would bring your food right to your window. It wasn't just fast food, it was the local hangout spot. In the 1970s, Sonic was a favorite in many towns. As a kid, going out for dinner there at night was such a treat. Maybe it's where you got your first job or where you'd go with friends to show off your car. You'd come for the burgers, hot dogs, and those famous crispy tater tots. The drinks were also a big hit. Sonic became well known for its cherry limeade, a refreshing mix of lemonade and cherry flavor. And don't forget the milkshakes. They came in all kinds of flavors, and each one was delicious. You'd drive in with your friends, park next to other cars, and enjoy your food while checking out the cool rides around you. Oh my, all those classic cars. I loved it. Today, Sonic still has that same charm. You can still place your order from your car and be served by a friendly carhop, sometimes even on skates. Even though the world has changed, Sonic keeps that 1970s drive-in feeling alive. And I'm happy to say it's still going strong at many locations. Starting a business from nothing and keeping it successful for so many years isn't easy, and we need to appreciate that. Forget the mall. In the 1970s, drive-ins were the place for teens to hang out, and one of the most popular spots was Steak and Shake. Founded in 1934 in Illinois, it became really well known in the 70s. Many locations kept their drive-in style, creating fun memories of cruising the parking lot on weekend nights. Steak and Shake's famous steak burger was a hit, but it was the milkshakes that kept people coming back. By the 1970s, the chain had over 150 locations across the U.S. With so many people traveling by car, drive-ins were the perfect stop. And cars were a big part of 70s culture. People loved showing off their cool rides at these spots. Today, Steak and Shake is still around, but not all locations have kept the drive-in experience. Back in the day, it was a fantastic place with great food. Sadly, service and quality started to drop in the early 2000s. I really miss the old drive-ins with carhops. Such great memories. Do you miss them too? Share your memories with us in the comments. Dairy Queen. When we think of frozen treats in the 1970s, it's hard not to remember this place. Founded in 1940 in Illinois, it was already very popular by then, with many locations offering drive-in service. There was nothing better than driving up on a hot summer day to get some creamy ice cream. Even though it was famous for its frozen treats, Many drive-ins also served burgers, hot dogs, and fries. But let's be honest, most people went there for one thing: the soft-serve ice cream cones dipped in chocolate. The crunchy chocolate coating around the soft ice cream was the best. Other favorites included the banana split and the sundae, topped with chocolate or caramel sauce. It was the perfect place for families and friends to gather, either at the drive-in, where servers brought food to your car, or inside, where you could sit and enjoy your dessert. By the 1970s, the chain had over 2,500 locations across the U.S. Today, it's still around with thousands of spots open. This special place left great memories, reminding us of happier times. In the 1970s, if you wanted a quick and cheap burger, Burger Chef was the place to go. Founded in 1954 in Indiana, it grew fast, and by the 70s, it was one of the biggest names in fast food, with over 1,000 locations across the United States. Many of these restaurants had drive-ins, making them even more popular and easy to access. What really set it apart was its innovation. It was the first to offer a kids combo with a burger, fries, drink, and a toy, something that later became common at other big chains. And who remembers the Works Bar? You could customize your burger just the way you liked it, adding extra lettuce, tomatoes, or sauces as much as you wanted. The menu was simple, but everyone loved it. The Big Chef and Super Chef were the most popular burgers, and the crispy fries were a perfect match. And of course, we can't forget the frozen desserts, which made families come back again and again. In the 1970s, stopping at this drive-in for a quick meal or snack was something many teens and families enjoyed. Even though the restaurant closed in the 80s, it left a lasting mark on those who lived through that time. If you were lucky enough to eat at Burger Chef in the 70s, you know just how special it was. I can't get over the prices. When I think back, it always makes me smile. If you lived in a small town or the suburbs in the 1970s, there's a good chance that Dog and Suds was your favorite drive-in. Founded in 1953 in Illinois, this place brought together two things everyone loved: hot dogs and the famous root beer. In the 70s, Dog and Suds had more than 600 drive-ins across the U.S., becoming a favorite spot for families and teens. It was a full drive-in experience. You parked your car, ordered through a speaker, and soon a server brought your food on a tray that hooked to your car window. The menu was simple and tasty. The most popular item was the hot dog with mustard, ketchup, and onions, served with crispy fries. What made it really special was the homemade root beer. Served in frosty mugs, this drink was so popular that many people came just for it. They even sold bottles so you could take some home. Even though there are fewer locations today, this classic drive-in still exists in some towns, keeping the tradition alive. If you're lucky enough to live near one, you can still enjoy this combo from the past. Who here has great memories of stopping by? Founded in 1959 in New York, Wetson's quickly became one of the most beloved drive-ins in the area. Back then, you could take the whole family and friends out and still not break the bank. If you lived in the Northeast during that time, you definitely stopped there more than once to grab a Big W, the most famous burger on the menu. I loved the burgers at Wetson's. Did you? Our family used to take long drives on weekends, and we would usually end up at this beloved place. Wetson's was also famous for its 15-cent burgers, 10-cent fries, and the catchy slogan, "Look for the orange circles." And if the phrase, "buy a bagful," sounds familiar, don't worry, you're not imagining things. It might just give you a little déjà vu. It was the kind of spot that always attracted families, kids coming from school, and anyone looking for a quick, tasty meal. It was almost impossible to resist the smell of grilled burgers and crispy fries. Like most drive-ins, you parked your car, placed your order through the speaker, and soon a server would bring your food right to the car. Although it wasn't as big as some of its competitors, the place had something special that made it a local favorite. The Big W, a double burger, was their answer to the Big Mac, winning customers over with its simple, delicious taste. The fries were great, and many still remember the classic flavor and fast service. In the 1970s, Wetson's had over 100 drive-ins, mostly in New York and the Northeast. Even though it closed at the end of that decade, it left a lasting mark on the memories of those who went there. In the 1970s, Sandy's Drive-In was the favorite for anyone looking for an affordable alternative to the big fast food names. Founded in 1958 in Illinois, Sandy's had a simple idea: to offer quick, tasty meals at low prices. Inspired by McDonald's success, Sandy's grew popular, especially in small towns and suburban areas, where the drive-in experience was the perfect way to attract families. Sandy's stood out by keeping the drive-in tradition alive. Customers placed their orders without leaving their cars, and servers brought the food on trays that hooked onto the car windows. The menu was classic, with the Big Scott as the most famous burger, competing directly with the Big Mac and becoming a local hit in many parts of the country. It was the place where parents took their kids after a long day, and teens had their first outings with friends. As kids, we didn't understand the sacrifices our parents made. It was still special to go out to eat, and they did it. It wasn't just about the food, it was about connection. Although Sandy's closed in most places over the following decades, it still lives on in the memories of those who experienced it. For those living in California in the 1970s, Beany's Drive-In was more than just a place to grab a bite. It was the hangout spot. Founded in the 1940s, Beany's had already made a name for itself, but it was in the 70s that it hit its peak. Though it wasn't a big national chain, it was famous on the West Coast for offering a true drive-in experience. What made Beany's special was its local charm. Everyone in the community knew about it. The menu was simple, but just right. The burgers came with crispy fries, and the classic milkshakes were the perfect combo, especially for those coming back from the beach or hanging out with friends after school. It was the go-to spot for youth, a place where you'd hang out with friends, talk for hours, and enjoy food that somehow tasted even better because it was shared. Maybe what we miss most isn't just the burgers or milkshakes, but what places like Beany's represented. A simple time when families were together to eat, have fun, and just plain live life. Share your memories with us. Red Barn was hard to miss, literally. With its unique red barn-like design, it caught the attention of anyone passing by. Founded in 1961 in Ohio, Red Barn quickly became a favorite in the 1970s, offering a classic drive-in experience with big portions. At its peak, it had over 400 locations across the U.S., and many of them followed the drive-in model, where you parked your car and the service came to you. The menu was generous and ahead of its time. The Big Barney and Barnbuster burgers were the most popular, with big, tasty portions that left everyone satisfied. They also served fried chicken, which was rare for drive-ins back then, and even offered a salad for those looking for something lighter. And who could forget the fried fish sandwich? One of the most iconic items from Red Barn. It was common to see lines wrapping around the restaurant with people waiting to get their burgers and fried chicken. This was a typical scene in the 70s. For many, it brings back delicious childhood memories. The truth is, you just can't recreate the experience of a Big Barney at home. Well, making this video definitely makes me hungry. So I want to hear from you. Share your favorite drive-in memories in the comments below.